Something that's on
Be the
introductions? Is that what we're doing? What are we doing? We are speaking in microphones.
We are on a panel.
We are on a panel.
Sure, go ahead. Tell me who you are, Mike.
I'm Mike Warhawk.
And out in the end there, we have with the beautiful gray hair.
I'm Stephen Norton.
Stephen Norton. This is Billy Maria. Okay, we're going to take some questions. How about over here?
Hey, who are you?
I'm Rob Benedict. You didn't know that already, then you haven't been listening. Hi.
I'm Paul.
I know.
I have a question for Billy specifically. I was at the Evening News for your first solo show, and it was wonderful. And I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about your solo writing and performing and how that's been going for you in general.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things that's just, I'm just constantly looking for some sort of creative, it's almost escapism in a way when you write something. With Swain, we have so many creative people in this band, and we have such a huge amount of song and content that comes through, it's almost impossible to complete everything, so I just took myself and set aside some time and just wrote a bunch of songs that were really meaningful to me, both about family and life, wins and losses, and it was just a really fun process. It was really cool. Rob and I just recently finished a tune.
And that'll be on your, is that for your
and it's just been, it's been a really liberating process just to kind of get into my own head and, sit around there, which is a scary place sometimes, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah. So I've been playing some stuff tomorrow on that second show. That as well.
Yeah, tomorrow our second show is sort of, it's gonna turn into sort of a
Party.
Yeah, party. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna shift around. We might do Bizarro Swain, which is where we all play different instruments. I'm actually not in Bizarro Swain. No, I was never in Bizarro Swain. I'm a fan.
One of the ideas we had, we talked about this.
Okay.
What is Bizarro Swain?
Okay, good question.
I play drums.
Billy's the drummer.
I play piano, or guitar, or bass.
And I play piano,
And you're the lead
guitar,
singer.
and sing.
And you're the lead singer, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, because there's two guitar players, right? There should be two guitar players. So you play guitar, you play guitar.
Right.
Rob plays bass.
Rob plays bass.
I love playing the bass.
Let's play the bass.
He loves playing the bass.
But we talked about actually just getting in a room and just rehearsing as Bizarro Swain and seeing what happens and maybe release an album that way. Which would be really neat.
Yeah.
Oh, you're behind your Robbie on that piece.
Oh man, I love to slap that bass.
Oh, he's not that
They're Linda's.
Thank you.
well.
I didn't see.
Over here.
Hi.
Which one of your songs do you love to have on Supernatural?
So yeah, we have 3 of our songs were on Supernatural.
Worlds Collide.
Worlds Collide,
Big One.
Big One, and Pop Tart Hot. Those were on Supernatural, but I think our song Wave is pretty cinematic. I think that would work well. A wave might work well in Supernatural. What else of ours that maybe has like a classic rock feel to it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
The new one that's on the new album coming out.
Yeah.
When
I
it,
saw 2 of them.
right? What's the name of it?
Fortunately, the show's over.
But I'm just saying, the show is still on. It'd be a candidate.
Yeah.
Yes, there's lots of stuff on the new
My
record.
favorite thing though about that was like when Worlds Collide was released, it was really good. I remember we were all tuning in. It was like,
In my ripping that I always do.
and I remember like my solo started and then immediately it cut to ACDC and Angus. So it's like I had a crossover with Angus on TV. It was really cool. Yeah. I don't know what else.
I think Wave, Bandaged Hand, maybe, Foolish Romance. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our songs really fit into it.
Basement and No-Ho would be good.
Yeah, why not?
Sometimes I was
Exactly. Yeah, we loved it. We were always so flattered when they chose one of our songs. Phil Segrisha was really the producer and director of the series. He was always very supportive of us. and helped us get music in.
That's
And then Rich, the last season,
And
I actually was like, hey, Rich, you directed this episode. If there's any spot for a Louden Swain song, it'd be nice to get in season 15, you know, just slot that in. He's like, oh, great idea. And then he picked Pop-Tart Heart.
It's on the radio show.
It was on the radio show, that scene that I was in.
Yes.
Which I forgot until just now.
Is it called Radio Show?
No, it's called like,
Shack Up Radio?
no, it's called like,
Radio Shed. Nice.
good
Our
call.
son will live with
Yep.
That'd be a good yes or no
That's generally. So
question.
I generally get like
Yeah.
my own. And then
Thank you
mine
for your
is
question.
me getting
Thank you. Yes.
Hey guys,
Hi.
I couldn't let it go. Rob, I got a question for you.
Okay.
He's like the one.
Can you please share a Tim
I'm not
Allen story?
so I'm like, no, I'll do it.
Tim Amundsen's story. It's a Tim Amundsen story that relates to the band. Is there a good story?
There was that piano that was really funny about the site.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Now,
Were you there for that? That was like a few cons ago.
it was Vegas this year.
Yeah.
Vegas this year, Tim Amundsen was telling the story that on site, every time they had a guest star that they really loved, when that guest star finished, the crew and the cast and everybody would sing the guest star happy
I
birthday.
used to say to him,
And that was something that Psych always did.
and I would just look at him dead in the eye.
And I was like, I guest starred on Psych, and I didn't get happy birthday. And the boy, Richard had a field day. Richard, that was the best thing Richard ever heard. So we all had a really good laugh about that.
And then we didn't let it go the whole weekend.
No.
Yeah.
Right, did not let it go.
Kept on like just
Yeah.
digging in like, oh yeah, the crew got it, they said.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, everybody got happy birthday, but not.
that extra that got
Yeah.
it.
I mean, and even
And then I said an ironic thing was, it was my birthday.
together, run around.
Which it wasn't, but it was a funny joke.
Well, it's my birthday, so thank you guys.
Oh, well, happy birthday. Perfect. To you. Hi.
Hi, yesterday, Rob, I got to ask you about your first convention, which led me to thinking about how did you become the host of the convention and how did y'all become Loud fans?
Well, and,
Richard Spade Jr. production.
yeah, Rich at one point was asked to host just a one-off Vegas convention because Vegas is a pretty big deal. It's a 4-day convention. They invite a lot of people to the show, a lot of guests. And so they asked him to host that one. And he said, you know what, I'll do it if Rob's band can play and can be kind of like the Tonight Show. And he'd kind of wear a suit and we would wear, and we would be the band. And we're like, okay, the band was like, okay, well, we'll do it, but we're not going to be Loud Swain. We're going to pose as a different band. And we called ourselves the Elastic Waist Band, and we wore like leisure suits. Mike had a long blonde wig. I had a wig with a headband, and we all had alter egos. Norton, you were Hot Carl with a
And I
K.
was Sir Richard Furlong.
And he was British, but his accent was
That was
iffy.
bad.
Johnny Hot Pockets. That was Johnny Hot Pockets.
Johnny Hot Pockets, and I was just Tango. And so that worked. For that convention, it really worked. And then they started inviting. It worked, so they started having us do that more often. And then it got to the point where we were like, yeah, we kind of just want to be ourselves, because people didn't really realize we were Loud and Swain. They thought we were the Elastic Waist Band. And at first it was funny, and then
It
it
was
was
funny.
like,
Well, Richard loved it. I think it was really Richard's idea to have us. I think he just wanted to get us dressed up.
Yeah.
And as soon as Shepard got involved, he's like, "You guys have to ditch the costume."
yeah. Then Mark Shepard kind of took over, and he's like, this isn't working. No more costumes. Stop wearing that silly wig.
Guys aren't a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys are musicians, for Christ's sake.
Yes. At one point, when Jared, that first weekend, Jared was like, "Hey, give it up, the Elastic Waist Band." We're like, "Oh no, everybody's gonna think that's what we are." So then we changed it to the real band, and then Richard and I decided to start some co-hosting, and it's kind of organically morphed into this thing where Rich and I were co-hosting, and the band is on stage, and then we started doing the concert on Saturday night. And now Richard doesn't come to, he does about half the con, so that's when I kind of took over with the hosting job, which is super fun. And a challenge, to be like, because when Richard's hosting, he's like, give it up for David Hayden Jones, and then I'm like, and I start singing the song. How's it going? So it's weird now I'm gonna be like, David Hayden Jones, every girl's crazy now, do both, but it's super fun to do. So it's just kind of organically wound up, this is what it is now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth. I was just wondering, when you guys were in high school, what band or album was just like your, lock yourself in the room and listen to for hours over and over again, and you still hear it and just go right back to that?
So
For me, it would be U2 Unforgettable Fire. Was Pride in the Name of Love, and that album that had that on it, and Bad was on that album. That was the one I would listen to it all the time in high school, and I listened to it while I studied. And it was just like, and every time I hear that album now, it's like, it brings me back, and it makes me emotional, and I was going through kind of a tough time, and it really got me through that album in particular. It was emotional for me. So. How about you guys?
I would say in high school, probably Metallica Black Album maybe, or Use Your Illusion 1 or 2. Yeah, those were non-stop.
It was Appetite for Destruction, Girls.
Yeah.
Here you go. I think I had like 5 in rotation. Every rotation it was The Who, Who's Next, The Cure, Head on the Door, Queen is Dead by the Smiths, Rush, Moving Pictures, the other.
yeah, for me, the first record was actually junior high. Looking at the first record like that would have been Shout at the Devil. And then in high school, it probably was something like Def Leppard, So Huge, or maybe the Guns N' Roses record got played.
Were you a big Poison guy? I was imagining you listening to Poison.
I did listen to them, but not as much. But it was always like it was all that 80s rock.
Oh, and
And for Rob and I, it's REM that kind of brought us together.
yeah,
Like Rob and Mike are the pop side, Billy and I are the rock side.
Yeah, I wouldn't say pop. I mean,
Well,
we're
it's like-
the alternative college band.
Debbie Gibson, Madonna, you would
Come on, you're saying
alternative pop radio.
new wave.
Honestly, Mike and I are more.
You guys are like a hit or miss. You know what I'm saying.
Mike and I are more into emotional music. Mike and I are more emotional music, and these two are more like metal.
Put things through a wall.
And this is just an observation for Billy that basically every band that was mentioned, the guys wore eyeliner, and that's just me throwing that out there for friends. So think about it.
I don't think the Slash of over eyeliner. I don't know. Maybe.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta get a hat.
Only if Mike applies it.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
I'll play.
Challenge.
Now it's getting weird.
So you gotta
Is it?
do Billy's makeup for tomorrow.
Is it getting weird? I mean, come on. Sure.
Hi guys, my name's Jill. I used to be in a cover band, so I was wondering what's a song that you guys would love to cover or have covered that's been your favorite? Because mine personally has always been Valerie, because it's so much fun to do, you can love with it. So what is your favorite? Either sing or play?
That one's great. We've done that. That's a great song. I love the original song. I've done that song too, the Zootons. I really love doing Whipping Post. That was such a challenge to learn for all of us, and then we kind of brought it together. And Jensen sang with us. I sang the lead, and that was just. And once we got, it was like I just wanted to keep playing it. So I really loved Whipping Post.
I like the Shop the Arm by Local. That was a lot of fun. I would say that one.
We did a long time ago this Radiohead song. Was it Stop Whispering? I think we did that one. Yeah, that was a good one.
early days.
Yeah.
What was the Bruno Mars tune and Jensen?
Did a Bruno Mars tune?
Yeah, it was like Bruno Mars and somebody else.
Oh, like a Silk Sonic? Oh, Chris Staples.
Well, it was Chris.
right.
That was a super fun song to
Yes.
play.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a super fun song to play live. I also like Chris Staples too. With Jensen.
Purple Rain was
Purple Rain was great.
Oh man, super fun.
Chris Stapleton did Purple Rain?
I mean, I'm sure he's done pretty.
In terms of one we haven't done, gosh, there's always something I'm listening to where I'm like, oh, this would be fun to play. I don't know, Paranoid Android. Hotel California.
There you go.
That would be fun to do that solo together.
You know what? I was about to say. At least no one said Freebird. Who said that?
The same guy that's been sitting in the back row.
Yeah, shouting at our entire careers.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Yes.
So this can be kind of a consensus answer, but if you had to cast your bandmates in a role with Supernatural, would they be a hunter, a monster, an angel, or a
Wow. I think
Demon.
Demon.
Demon here.
Yeah, I don't really Demon. He would be hunted.
That's not one of the choices, buddy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What would hunter or a monster? I think Borja's a hunter.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And I could see Norton as an angel.
Yeah.
The long hair and maybe some wings.
Those locks.
Yeah. So I guess that makes me the monster. It's a monster, but I'm a monster monkey. I'm a monkey monster.
Just a sassy monkey.
Sassy monkey monster.
You shaking your tail?
My tail's like hanging on this bar here. Makes no sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Thomas. My question for you is, how long have you been playing the instrument you play for the band, and what drove you or inspired you to play that instrument, or lead vocals in your case, Rob? What drove you to choose that?
Thank you, Thomas. For me, I've been playing since about age of 13. I think I was in 7th grade, and a friend of mine, I always knew I wanted to play drums, but my parents wanted me to play saxophone, piano, and all this other stuff. And so I took lessons for all that stuff, and I hated it, like absolutely hated it. Didn't want to touch it at all. And did the bare minimum to get through that. And then I had a buddy who was also in the band with me, whose parents bought the drum set. But I knew, like, from 4th or 5th grade that I wanted to be a drummer. But my parents just wouldn't do it. So my buddy got the drum set. He sat down to play and was having a hard time, couldn't play the set. I went over there and sat down and could play it right away, like basic beats, nothing fancy, but like I just knew how to play it. Like it was crazy. It was just something like it was in me. And so that really inspired me to push my parents to let me get a drum set. So finally did. So I've been playing forever, but it was just something that was, it literally was something that it was just, I feel like I was born.
So you just started playing the trombone or something?
Saxophone.
Saxophone. Yeah, for me, I started playing piano when I was about 7. And so that's how long I've been playing piano. And then became the bass player kind of by default. Yeah, because
by necessity.
Yeah, we were
a bass player. We had 2 guitars.
we had all we had were guitar players. So one day I just went and bought a bass and just started to learn it.
Mike's just a very musical guy. He really was a piano player, then he was a guitar player. And then we needed someone to be a bass player in the band, and he's, we were both guitar players for a while, and he was like, all right, I'll do bass. So, yeah.
And we switched around a lot.
That's right, yeah.
I had 2 older brothers. One had a drum kit, and the other brought home a guitar one day, and I loved both of them. I always thought drum kits were really cool. But I never really got around to practicing or doing anything like that with a drum kit. So I had my brother's guitar, which had like 5 strings on it that you got real dirty. And I just would just pick it up and just play these things that didn't make any sense, but they were just my fingers, everything was just kind of working. And then I had this buddy up the street from me that his dad also had a drum kit, and he was actually taking guitar lessons to get better at he was like, hey, you should learn some chords. And he started showing me these chords. And immediately everything started to click. Like, oh wow, we could play 3 chords now. And then, and I went home and I just started playing the albums. And the Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, and that was instrumental in like just picking up dexterity and stuff, like learning Sweet Child of Mine and Welcome to the Jungle and all those songs just by ear at the time, because they really didn't have a whole lot of like sheet music and stuff like that available where I was, so I just kind of just had to trust my ear. And then eventually when the tablature came out, and I could kind of read tablature, it opened up a ton of, doors as far as creative learning and stuff like that, so yeah. I would say about 11 or 12.
I was 12 when I got my first guitar, but in terms of your question, singing, I was in a couple musicals in high school, but I remember the first time I sang in public, I really had to like figure it out. We had to change the key of the songs in Oliver to play.
They were playing at the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl, yeah.
And
We saw him
we
again
saw
that
him
same
at the
year.
Rose Bowl at
Yeah.
the very end. It was like the last show on the tour, and we didn't miss it. It was the same exact energy, and it was just mind-blowing. It's like I never really was never really a huge Green Day fan, but I always had a great appreciation for them. But seeing them live was just a whole different world.
They were entertaining. Yeah, for sure.
And as far as small club shows go, I would say seeing Jeff Buckley at Toad's Place in the Connecticut was probably, there's like 30 people there. It was the best.
I changed my answer to Left on Millbury. It was my favorite.
Left on
Millbury.
Who's left
There's Left on Laurel.
Left on
Left on Laurel or Lost in Mayberry?
Lost in Mayberry. Yeah, and Lost in Laurel.
Think of a logo.
The show was so good he doesn't remember the
It was so good. Blew me away. Love the guitar player. I thought we should hire that guy.
Oh man, that's fun to watch.
What about you, Rory?
Best, it's hard to pick one, but the best arena show would be either U2 Joshua Tree Tour in Kansas City. I was like 17, or Pearl Jam at Lollapalooza 1992 in Chicago. It was pretty amazing. More recently, Radiohead at the Hollywood Bowl was awesome. And small club, I won a ticket and got to see Jane's Addiction play at the Roxy.
Nice.
Yeah, which sometimes the bands, big bands like that will do small gigs before they go out on tour, and that's what this was. And Flea was playing bass for them.
No way.
So it was Jane's Addiction with Flea, and it was fucking amazing.
Yeah. Is he what?
Were there socks involved?
With their socks.
No socks involved, no.
Clothes.
No, that's more Red Hot Chili Peppers thing. Yeah, no, they had it all along. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, I want to say my Coliseum show was like McCartney or, oddly enough, Lady Gaga. What's on?
Yeah. We have time for one more.
So you're headed to Bowling Green, which is a small town.
Yeah.
I wondered if you grew up rural, urban, or suburban, and what do you prefer?
So I grew up in a town that's the area of like, the whole area, it's called the Quad Cities. It's on the Iowa-Illinois border. I grew up on the Illinois side of a town called Moline. It's like a population of 36,000. So it was kind of a small town, but yet the area with all the cities in it were about 250,000. So it was a really good, like, sort of middle ground. So it wasn't really, I wouldn't call it any of those. It was somewhere between a small town and suburban. Yeah, and I love that. I mean, I moved to Phoenix partially because the grind of LA got to be a bit much, traffic and all that stuff. So I have a hard time dealing with that stuff. So.
Yeah, same here. I kind of grew up in that same type of environment. Rural, suburban. I grew up 40 miles north of Pittsburgh. So, and some of you have been to my house.
It was a bus tour.
It was a bus tour. It was a bus tour. It was a bus tour. I'm just saying that. It was a bus tour of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. You see my
And you know who you are. You know who you are.
You know.
Quad
I grew up in Fairfield, Connecticut, which is about 45 minutes east of New York City, and South Fairfield. I would live in the city often, and I was in between New Haven and New York City, so
That's suburban.
yeah. I had access to some sick shit.
Yeah.
Mine, I'm kind of the same as these guys. I grew up in Columbia, Missouri, which is a college town. So, you know, when I grew up there, it was more rural. Now it's kind of a small city, I think. Just a developed college town. But it was a great place to grow up. And, but I've lived in urban areas ever since then, and I really enjoy it now. Where I live now in Los Angeles, there's a lot of sirens, a lot of activity going on, and it oddly makes me feel comfortable. It's weird, but yeah, I'm one of those guys that like I can go to sleep with the sound of helicopters and sirens. Just like lock the doors and like, I'm in safe. I hope I make it through the night. But I grew up in a really nice town called Columbia, Missouri.
30 years in LA doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Helicopters are white noise to you now.
Yep. Well, guys, I think that's the end of our panel. So thank you for being here. And with that is also the end of our onstage portion of the...
Boy, Norton left in a hurry, didn't he?
And that's the end of our drummer.
I'm getting something.
So we're looking for a drummer.
He says thank you on behalf of...
Grab your we're gonna finish our onstage portion of the show with a little song we like to sing. And the convention is not over. You're still gonna have your photographs, autographs, meet and greets, but that's the end of the panel. So thank you for staying with us and having such a great weekend. You guys were awesome. Thank you so much. We've all been talking about how vocal you are, how much energy you have, and that really keeps us going. So thank you so much. Love you so much.